Hi, Sarah. Lovely to be talking to you.
Hi, Peter. It's lovely to meet you. Thanks for having me.
What is the charity all about? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. So it's Linx Youth Project. We were established in 1993 in Hamlington, one of the areas in Middlesbrough. A group of residents from Hamlington decided that they want to create support services for young people in Hamlington. A project that really wants to help young people and their families, mostly young people, to have hope and try to, through fun and informal educational activities, to encourage young people of Middlesbrough to have the same life as young people in other parts of the country, and try to achieve their full potential and have the sense of belonging and sense of community. And we do that through lots of different activities. We deliver open access youth club, where young people come to a club, have fun, and build relationship with trusted adults. We run detached youth work, which is an activity where qualified youth workers go on streets and engage with young people in their territory, where they feel safe. We run targeted workshops for young people who are at risks of risk-taking behavior, antisocial behavior. We support young people with their employment, education, and training, find them suitable providers. So we've got a very bespoke program of activities for young people, and depending on young people's needs, we work with them to make sure they can achieve their goals.
I mean, you're doing fantastic work. That's all great to hear. Tell me a little bit more about you. How did you get involved? What's your story, Sarah?
Sure. I joined Linx in 2015 as a project worker, and within a year I secured a role as an operations manager. Prior to joining Linx, I worked in one of the local Category B prison establishment, and when I was there, I realized that I really want to engage with young people before it's too late, and before they have committed a crime and they're serving a sentence. It might sound cliche, but I do really believe in early intervention, and providing the right support will prevent intervention at that level. I'm a trustee of a fantastic project called Halo. Halo is the project that works with women who suffer from honor-based violence, and provides specific specialized services for young people from an ethnic background. I'm also a proud governor at one of our local colleges, Middlesbrough College, and my role is equality and diversity. I've got a great passion for making sure we are inclusive, and we are helping people from all walks of life to get involved and tackling issues. It's always been really helpful throughout my journey. It's been that I come across a very passionate people who wanted to hold each other's hands and make sure they're getting the best in life, if you like. And I think I've tried really myself to give things back to the communities that they've always supported me. I remember when I worked as an integration and education officer, one of my role working with asylum seekers and refugees, and I love the fact that they would refer to me as someone who they could see as a role model, someone who they could see that came and couldn't speak the language, but managed to get a degree, get a job, settle into life in the UK. And I think that's really proud, and I always try to encourage others that everything is possible.
I think you were obviously doing awful lot of incredible work, and then lockdown came along in March 2020. What impact did that have on the work that you were doing?
Going back to it's nearly a year ago, and it just was like our world was turned upside down. As a small organization who deliver face-to-face contact with young people, we very quickly had to change, very quickly had to adapt and look at how we can not only make sure that we are meeting the needs of our young people, that we were aware of those needs. There were a whole range of new needs all of a sudden. Going back, I'm really proud of the team and how hard they worked within the first couple of weeks of lockdown to turn everything that we had on a digital platform. So we ran our youth clubs online. So instead of going to an actual community building, we started Zoom sessions. And obviously by doing that, you had a lot of background work to do around your safeguarding, your online safety, to make sure young people that they come along to those online platforms are safe. We started doing an online welfare check. So we looked at the list of young people that we were engaging in one-to-one prior to pandemic, and contacted them immediately and provided them with a helpline to say that we're here 9 till 5 and 9 till 9 if we can help you with anything. And one of the things that I think as an organization, we always, youth workers are passionate. They don't do the job for any other reason than just passion for helping young people. And they all often have first-hand experience of accessing clubs when they were younger themselves. So one thing that we all always are is positive, and try to look at how we can turn this to an opportunity and continue helping our young people. And prior to pandemic, when young people came to our youth club, we fed them. We developed lots of new initiatives around food poverty, because Middlesbrough, about 49% of Middlesbrough is classed as within the top 10% deprived wards in the whole country, and we deliver in 10% of 1 to 2% mostly deprived areas. So prior to pandemic, we were feeding our young people through Greg's initiatives. We were part of Fair Share and Neighbourly, which are programs that you could pick the surplus food from supermarket. We use them in cooking food in our sessions to feed our young people, and also helping them to understand how they can live and independently, how they can cook on budget, how they can shop on budget, and so on and so forth. So we use it as an education as well as feeding them. And when the pandemic started, the first week when we had the surplus food, when we picked them up from the supermarkets, one of the staff was like, what are we going to do with them? And they decided that we're going to put a post on our social media to see if anyone would be interested. And within half an hour, we had about 50 families asking for that. And that was the moment we were hit with the demand, thinking that what's happening, how can we make sure we can support our families? And one of the projects that was initiated from that initial advertising on our social media was delivering the surplus food parcels and well-being packs to the families that we're working with.
So that gives a kind of an indication of the scale of the need in the area, and just give us a bit more of an insight into how big is the demand that you're facing. How much poverty is there in the Hemlington, Middlesbrough area?
Prior to pandemic, we delivered services in 7 different wards in Middlesbrough. So we've had Newport, Grove Hill, Brecon Hill, Colpinium. So it wasn't just Hemlington. I think from an organisation who delivers youth activities and support services, when we started looking at delivering food parcels, and it was quite shocking. And I think through the messages that we get from families, they weren't just your families who have always suffered from poverty. We also have a new cohort of families that, due to pandemic, as a direct impact of pandemic, they've lost income, they've been put on furlough with lower income, or they've lost their jobs because of the pandemic. So it's a whole range of new cohort of families that they need support now. Whereas running eco shops, we're one of the partners within eco shops, where we're trying to encourage families to access eco shop products where they pay £2 for 10 items. So we're trying to also make sure that we're not creating the culture of just giving free food out. We are creating some sustainability within those for those families too.
And if I can ask you about the support that you've received. So, for example, County Durham Community Foundation gave you a grant for £5,000, didn't they? What kind of difference did that make?
I think that was a godsend, really, because it was at the very beginning of the pandemic when we were hit by the whole demand for food parcels. And when the whole pandemic started, and was quite a lot of big trust and funds put our applications that we had as a charity on hold because they were dealing with the new demanding issues of many things that was happening because of the pandemic. So when the County Durham Community Foundation Fund was available, and initially I wasn't even sure that we can access that because it's just County Durham Community Foundation, and they were really great in trying to make sure everyone understand that it's not just for Darlington or Durham, it's also available for Tees Valley. In fact, we went on a radio show to make sure people or organisation in Middlesbrough are aware of it, that it's just also covers Middlesbrough as an area. And the money was really helpful, not only because it allowed us to look at how we can expand our food service, but also gave us a breathing space because they support us with our rent, which we are building. We are a tenant in a building that is a community asset transfer. So the money that County Durham paid us for rent, we was paid to another charity, if you like. So it was just like a link of supporting another charity, which was great. And the money sort of allowed us to expand our food parcels to on average delivering to 25 families per week. And the fund was helpful in a way that we could actually, so when you get the surplus food from supermarkets, you could get anything. So you could get bread, potatoes, but the money allowed us to make the parcels that we're delivering substantial in a way that we added eggs or sugar or mostly ingredients that they could actually do something. So families could actually cook a couple of meals, if you like, and have access to fresh fruit and vegetables, or sometimes sanitary products and things that they couldn't afford to otherwise purchase. So that was great in a sense. And we've had so many feedbacks from the families and saying that, one of the families says, my child looked forward to receiving parcels and look for the things that otherwise we wouldn't buy for them, like chocolates sometimes. I mean, we also include lots of healthy meal. Strawberries is another example. A family told us, like my daughter is excited about the strawberries. But I think as a whole, without the support that we received through the donors, funders, we couldn't continue with delivering our substantial food parcels and well-being packs that we deliver. Because after a couple of weeks of delivering food parcels, we started having conversation with families and asking them, how else can we help them? And quite a lot of, at the time, obviously, I mean, we're back to young people not going to school, but at the time schools were closed and families were really struggling with homeschooling and instilling and keeping their young people motivated, and their mental health was at risk. And we looked at how we can make sure we can support them with activities that they could engage with their children and young people. So we delivered art and craft parcels to quite a lot of families in Middlesbrough, and we also delivered some sport equipment. One of the families told us that we gave them some badminton, and they were like, that actually helped us massively, and it was a World War III in our household, and because of the lack of activities and engagement. So it was really positive.
So you've been helping to keep the peace as well.
Yes, I think so.
I mean, I think what's really, really interesting is this is just one example, isn't it? What you're doing is one example of how that money has proved to be so valuable. I mean, just to put it into context, that £5,000 was part of £1 million that's been given out by County Durham Community Foundation during the pandemic. And the foundation just got an incredible history. It's been going for 25 years. And £48 million has been given out to great causes like yourselves during that time. So, what would your message be to people who make donations to the foundation and, provide the kind of support to see that it's making such a difference in communities? What would your message be to those donors?
I think firstly I would like to thank them because their generous offer is helping us to do what we can, and helping us as frontline services to deal with the challenges as much as possible. So I would like to thank them for the donation, and I would like to urge them to continue making a difference. without, I mean, I think Northeast, especially Middlesbrough, everyone step up when there are crises, and this pandemic is an example of how everyone started to work collectively in making sure that the needs of our communities are met. Of course, enthusiasm, working together and partnership is one side of it, but without funds, it's impossible to make it happen.
I love that, where one mum said to you, "You've no idea how excited my child was to see strawberries." Little things, you know, it just makes such a difference, doesn't it? And you also made reference to the fact that just by giving a family a couple of badminton rackets, it kind of, you know, gave the children in that family something to do. And so, you know, what has the kind of feedback overall been on the doorsteps in Hemlington?
I think in Hemlington and the other wards that we have been delivering, people are really thankful. And I think quite a lot of things that we do also, we try to make sure that we are quite sensitive and try to make sure that stigma is removed from the activities and how we deliver things. For example, prior to Christmas, we had the Christmas jumper recycling project, and we didn't want to make it as you can't afford to buy a Christmas jumper. Here it is. We just use it as one of our recycling projects. So we asked families to donate their used and unwanted Christmas jumpers so we could pass them on to other families. So I think the overall response that we get from families is they're thankful. They're thankful that we are making sure that they get the best possible support without being stigmatized. And I think we also at the same time as supporting them as a short-term goal, we're trying to empower them to become more sustainable, if that's by putting them in contact with other services that they can help them with employability, or, you know, if there are issues around budgeting and other skills, so we're trying to help them. So hopefully that will minimize the challenge and the need for food poverty. I'm not too sure what's going to happen next. You know, if fundraising is always a challenge, especially for charities. So we know for sure that there's a higher demand than before for our services. Young people, they're stopped going to school. Their routine is being disturbed. There is a lot of challenges, and we need to make sure services that they work with young people can continue, because the demand will be even more than before. Although understandably funders have their own sets of rules and criteria and mission to complete, but I think it'll be good to have more conversation with frontline delivery services, for charities sector, to understand the demands and make sure the money is available to continue the great work that many charities are doing. And I think throughout the pandemic, quite a lot of things wouldn't happen without charity sectors and voluntary sectors stepping up to the role and making sure that they're doing all they can to support their beneficiaries. So I think it will be challenging, but I suppose as a voluntary sector, we're very resilient. So we always try to adapt and make sure that our young people or whoever our service users are, they receive the best. Yeah,
I just want to finish the interview by saying thank you to you. You thanked other people, the donors, for helping and supporting your charity, but it also needs people like you who are passionate about making a difference. So thank you so much for everything that you do, Sarah.
Thank you, Peter. I need to also mention that I'm not one person. I've got a great team of staff behind me, a great team of trustees and board of management who are supporting us in delivering what we do. And as well as funders, I don't think without the team and my board members, we wouldn't be where we are. So I've got great support.
Well, it's been lovely talking to you, and
thank you.
Look for the rest of the year.
Thank you very much.